It has been a fabulous stretch of time to be covering the music scene in Saskatoon of late. Of course, we just had Country Music Week wrap up, got to meet a lot of interesting musicians, but I'm going to go out on the limb and say that I've probably never interviewed a musician before who has a master's degree in religious history, and I get to check that one off the bucket list today with Geoff Smith from Gunner and Smith. Geoff, thanks for coming in and chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Exciting times for you as well. Let's talk, before we get into the new album and the new tour, let's get a little bit of the background, a little bit of your story. You're from Saskatoon originally. Yeah. Give us a bit of the backstory. How did Gunner and Smith come to be?
Well, it kind of started out as just me playing songs on my own and gradually adding people in as time went on. Probably about 2.5 years ago, we put out our first full-length album. Toured the country a bunch of times, a few shows down in the States, and just kind of got busier and busier. And now we're getting ready to put out our second full length.
That's fantastic. The first album was called He Once Was a Good Man. As you mentioned, lots of touring, and it sounds like maybe that touring experience of going, as you say, right across the continent really kind of helped influence the second album, seeing a lot of the landscape of this continent of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can't, drive through a bunch of new places and not have that kind of impact you, and spending time on the road. I mean, a lot of that time's by yourself, so you definitely get pretty introspective as a result. And so, yeah, definitely would have had an impact on this one for sure.
And obviously garnered some attention along the way. People have really taken to the music, attracted some attention. You were able to work with a very well-known producer, Andreas Tokek, of Nashville, worked with Alabama Shakes. Tell me a little bit about that relationship, how you got to know him.
Well, I actually just kind of put together a list of producers I wanted to work with for this album. And kind of listen to different albums and how the sounds were and how the feel was. That usually says a lot about the producer,
sure,
even more so than the band sometimes. So having listened to some of the stuff he did, I kind of really liked the sound. So I honestly just sent him an email, and he emailed me back that day and said, yeah, let's do this. And then we had a phone conversation, and then when I was down in Nashville, I met with him and chatted with him, and then we just planned it out, and yeah, just kind of went that way.
That's really cool. And so he actually came up here. It sounds like it was a fairly quick recording process. So in a situation like that, is it just, you have to be prepared, and you guys were able to make it happen?
Yeah, you only have a limited amount of time. Yeah. We recorded on tape, which also tends to be a little bit quicker because you do a lot of the instruments all at once.
Sure.
So you're not doing every little track by itself and putting it all together. So it ended up taking about 6.5 days, and we did it about an hour west of town at a studio called Sine Wave out there. So it's all done on tape, so it's kind of a live, warm feel to it.
Very cool. So the new album, the resulting product called Byzantium, talk about this album. Is it similar to the sound of the first one, if people are familiar with the first music, or has there been a bit of an evolution, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's changed a little bit. I think last record, while we were in studio working there, we kind of figured out what we wanted to sound like. And then this album, we just kind of went in knowing what we wanted. So last album was a little bit softer and a little bit slower. This one's a little bit harder, a little bit faster, a little bit more true to how we play live. And so that kind of had more of an effect on this one. And so it's a little bit different, but I think it's a pretty clear evolution from what we were trying to do with the last one, just more intentionality behind it. A couple of the players are different as well, and they each kind of bring their own thing to it as well. Yeah.
Very cool. We are going to be hearing a little bit of that coming up in just a minute or two, going to give us a bit more of an acoustic taste of the new album. Couple of shows coming up in Saskatoon as part of a big tour, heading back across this great country of ours. Coming up, I want to make mention, September 22nd at the Capitol, November 11th at Amigos. That 22nd show, I'm guessing, is that sort of an album release party here?
Yeah, that's the album release party. That's the first day people are going to be able to buy the record or stream it. So that's the release show.
That'll be fun. And then out on the road.
Yeah, then out on the road. We actually head to South Korea after that.
Wow. So. How'd that come about?
It was just a showcase out there. They're kind of like festivals where they bring out a lot of industry to see people, and we applied for one and got into one, so we're going to Seoul to play a show.
That's amazing. And then back to Canada. And a reminder again, back here on November 11th, if you want to check out Gunner and Smith, which I have a feeling you might want to do after hearing a little bit of the music. What's the song you're going to play for us, Geoff?
It's called Byzantium. It's actually the title track.
Perfect.
Lord, I'm dying, feel it a little more each day, but I won't move to where the snow won't fall. I need to remember that all things change. And I found me a real good woman who loves me and treats me kind. And there's not much more that a poor boy could ask for than to have someone stand by him day and night. I'm going, I'm gone, I'm going, I'm gone. I hope I leave behind the best of me. I'm going, I'm gone, I'm going, I'm gone. Be hiding right in front of you. I feel just like an old house that no longer can keep out the cold. I've seen a lot of wicked that the world has to offer. I've seen good too, but it's hidden down low. I heard a man sing the most beautiful song and watched it fall on deaf ears. And there may be prophets among you, but you won't heed them till the land's gone dry. And I'm going, I'm gone, I'm